Good morning, JRC. This time is strange and hard and feels like we are continually wading into unfamiliar territory. A colleague and friend of mine referred to this time as trying to stand balancing on jello. Feels like just when we find our footing, something shifts or something sinks, and it feels so unstable. And lately I've been realizing that things that should be easy, making a meal or trying to take a walk around the block with my family, or even trying to respond to an email feels really, really hard. The feeling, however, feels familiar, even though this time of being in a sheltering in place global pandemic is new. And the thing that it reminds me of is loss. It's grief. It's the brain that happens when we are so disoriented because we've experienced a loss. I don't want to compare this time to a death, because that is a way for many of us that utterly and solidly rocks us to our core. It's really different than losing someone, particularly in a tragic way. But we live our lives through all different kinds of losses. Some losses end up being a good thing. We lost a job, it opened the door to something new. We lost a relationship, which wasn't healthy for us in the first place. Some losses are massive. Some losses are small. But losses is actually one of the ways that we can measure our lives and give ourselves permission to respond, giving ourselves permission to be compassionate because all is not right with the world, even the little worlds that we are confined to right now inside, even if we may be safe. We're mourning the loss this morning for many of us, the rest of the school year, the loss of what it will mean to have our kids home full time, the loss of what it means to continue to try and shelter in place and work full time and manage our households, the continued loss of connection or of physical touch, the loss of ease of being able to move through the world in the way that we could, and the loss of major events like graduations and proms and celebrations and weddings and B'nai Mitzvah. All these different things are so different than what we imagined, and those are losses. We know how to deal with loss in the Jewish community. We do so by gathering. We do so by giving ourselves permission to feel it, by taking time out and saying, the rest of the world is moving, but I'm not ready right now. I need to deal with the loss. I need to mourn it. I need to thank it. I need to spend some time feeling what it feels like. That's what Shiva's all about. It's really hard not to be able to have Shiva in this moment. And yet we can do many different things. We can reach out to each other, schedule a phone call, walk by your neighbor's yard, stand 6 feet across the street and wave and just have a moment of conversation. We can pick up the phone. We can schedule a Zoom. We can reach out or write a letter or an email to someone that we haven't been in touch with recently and reconnect and rekindle. We can take a walk around the block and notice something. Maybe it's the birds, maybe it's the sun, maybe it's the sound of construction and the hammering that's happening on the houses a couple doors away. We can reach to our traditions and we can reach to poetry. So here are 2 poems on loss that I want to gift you with today. We'll put them in the comments as well. The first by Elizabeth Bishop. The Art of Losing. The art of losing isn't hard to master. So many things seem filled with the intent to be lost that their loss is no disaster. Lose something every day. Accept the fluster of lost door keys, the hour badly spent. The art of losing isn't hard to master. Then practice losing farther, losing faster, places and names, and where it was you meant to travel. None of these will bring disaster. I lost my mother's watch, and look, my last or next to last of 3 loved houses went. The art of losing isn't hard to master. I lost 2 cities, lovely ones, and vaster, some realms I owned, 2 rivers and a continent. I miss them, but it wasn't a disaster. Even losing you, the joking voice, a gesture I love, I shan't have lied. It's evident the art of losing's not too hard to master, though it may look like, write it, disaster. And Mary Oliver, who so captures the moment of nature and of our lives in so many ways. In Blackwater Woods, Mary Oliver. Look, the trees are turning their own bodies into pillars of light and are giving off the rich fragrance of cinnamon and fulfillment. The long tapers of cattails are bursting and floating away over the blue shoulders of the ponds. And every pond, no matter what its name is nameless now. Every year, everything I have ever learned in my lifetime leads back to this: the fires and the black river of loss, whose other side is salvation, whose meaning none of us will ever know. To live in this world, you must be able to do three things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes to let it go, let it go. In this moment of shelter, of spring, of the contradictions, of needing to separate ourselves to protect everyone else, it feels like such an oxymoron. And yet, we're here mourning the losses. So give yourself time and give yourself permission. Grief brain is real. And open it, let it open yourself up to compassion for what you've lost. Empathy for those who have lost things that are so much more significant than the freedom and ability to walk out our doors and be with other people. And let us look toward a time where in our losses, it brings us together in a way to say we have lost, and open ourselves to the possibility that we will find something new.